Pokémon Champions is a brand new title revealed in the latest Pokémon Presents on Pokémon Day 2025. In today's video, we're breaking down why this game could be one of the most impactful additions to the competitive Pokémon scene and possibly even the main series titles. From what we know, Pokémon Champions is a battle simulator that features various battle formats from the main series Pokémon games. It's coming to the Nintendo Switch systems, Android and iOS devices with cross-platform compatibility similar to what we see in Pokémon Unite. Pokémon can be obtained in-game and also transferred over from Pokémon Home, suggesting there is going to be a high level of Pokémon customization. But what does this mean for the future of Pokémon? Is it really going to be as impactful to both competitive play and the future main series titles? In short, yes and no. At least in the world of competitive play, it's a huge step forward in the right direction, but I don't think it will be as impactful to the main series titles as many think it will be. Of course, these are only my opinions on how I think Champions may fit into the Pokemon ecosystem. With such limited information right now, it's really anyone's best guess as to the knock-on effect this game can have. But as I've been involved in the competitive scene since 2009 as a player and 2017 as a caster, I've seen so many changes and steps forward to the competitive scene that I wanted to give my opinions on what I make of this exciting news. So let's break it down. Okay, so a lot of people are wondering if Pokemon Champions will push the main series towards a completely new battle system. Personally, I don't see that happening. If anything, the Legends series is where we'll see those experiments, those new mechanics, those innovative battle styles, while the main series will still stick to its tried and tested kind of bread and butter turn-based grassroots. And with that said, I think there's an importance to say that Champions and the main series games need to be connected in some way, not just for marketing the newest mechanics and Pokemon, but also to keep the ecosystem of competitive play alive between the generations. If Champions exists in its own bubble, what kind of then ties it to the main core experience? So even though it won't overhaul battle mechanics, at least in my opinion, not in the main series titles, Pokemon Champions could actually benefit main series games in another big way. One huge upside is that Game Freak might not have to build a fully fledged battle stadium ladder into every new generation. That could mean more resources going into world building, storytelling, and gameplay improvements, which is always a huge win. Another big factor is how competitive play is currently structured. Every new generation introduces new battle mechanics and a new selection of Pokemon, and the competitive scene revolves around that for about 3 years. At the end of those cycles, things start feeling stale because we've literally exhausted every possible rule set variation. Scarlet and Violet's Terastallization, for example, has been the defining mechanic for years now, and while it was fresh to start with, seeing the same strategies over and over again naturally leads to a little bit of fatigue. Normally, we get a new game after 3 years, but if like Gen 10 is an example to go by and Game Freak are taking more time between generation development, it doesn't look like we're going to get the next new game until November 2026. So on the back of that, we're looking at a potential 4th year in the same game. And that's uncharted territory for competitive play. If Pokemon Champions launches before then, it could help shake things up massively by allowing more flexibility with format changes, giving us something fresh while we wait for the next big main series title. One of the biggest improvements Pokemon Champions could bring is an easier way to customize Pokemon. If it allows players to modify IVs, EVs, abilities, movesets, etc., using probably something like in-game currency earned through battling, that would completely change how we approach team building on a whole. No more spending hours breeding or farming bottle caps, just battle, earn currency, then fine-tune your team the way you want. Right now, despite the quality of life improvements across recent generations, training a battle-ready team is still a huge time commitment. And because of this, many players do resort to using external tools like bots or PK Hex to generate Pokemon and save time. If Champions genuinely provides a legitimate way to customize teams quickly, it could eliminate the need for those workarounds entirely, which would be a huge plus for the entire community. And don't worry, if you enjoy the old school grind of catching, breeding, and EV training Pokemon, you're going to have Pokemon Home to utilize that integration. So you'll be able to show off your blingy, shiny Pokemon, that you've actually trained the old-fashioned way. So I think it really fits and suits all categories of trainer. On top of that, having the game on mobile as well as the Nintendo Switch makes access even easier. Competitive Pokemon has always been locked to Nintendo hardware, but with Champions launching on both iOS and Android, we could see a massive influx of new players who previously never had the opportunity to compete seriously. And this might just be the thing that they needed to be like introduced to battling entirely. So this is a huge step forward. And I think when I spoke to Dubesnack's Unite caster, absolute legend, in comparison to see where Unite was in terms of how many players played on Switch, how many players played on mobile, he said it does depend on region. So the region dependent is really what dictates what is the more popular device. But the fact that we're going to have that option now for VG, for competitive Pokemon, it's just a huge plus all around. I don't think Pokemon Champions will just be for competitive play either. While I expect it to be the primary platform for official tournaments, I also see it acting as a hub for various battle formats, including some of the more niche ones we've seen over the years. The trailer obviously showcased double battles, so VG will almost certainly be the main format of this hub, but I do expect us to see singles battles there as well. I'm really kind of hoping for an expanded 6v6 singles ladder alongside the usual 3v3 format. We also saw a multi-battle from Gen 3 in the trailer as well, which suggests that that mode will be included too. And in the long run, there's no reason formats like triples battles, rotation battles, and even things like Little Cup couldn't be added in future updates. So the following are actually a few things I would like to see integrated within Pokemon Champions. The first one's going to be a spectator mode. Scarlet and Violet technically have one, but it's rarely used outside of the World Championship Finals. Now, if Pokemon Champions has a proper spectator mode, this would be a huge game changer, I think, for grassroots tournaments and even official tournaments, where we'll be able to have a spectator mode where you can even log in to watch battles that are ongoing between trainers that you might know or you're friends with using this platform. So I think it would be a huge thing. It's not something that I've seen a lot of people talk about, but I really hope it's something that they are considering, and it will be implemented in this hub, at least even if it's not in the original launch. Hopefully it's something that they integrate further down the line with an update. This is a very long shot, I think, but the versus recorder, what we had in previous generations, I would love to see return in this game. For those of you that don't know, the versus recorder was a staple in the older games, but has been absent in more recent generations. Having a built-in way to record and view battles that you played against other trainers is such an amazing tool. And if we see that return in any way, shape or form, I would absolutely love it, because it's such a valuable tool, like I say, to go back and review your battles, or just be able to show your friends a crazy battle that you had with a top trainer somewhere from around the world, or a battle that you had at a competitive tournament, you know? It's nice to be able to capture those moments, keep them for the memory, because with VGC, it's always about the journey that you've taken to get to where you are, and keeping a few of those memories from along the way. It's always a nice thing to be able to do. And the final thing is, I know we've talked about it because it's expected. I think we expect there to be this in-game customization section, but I'm so desperate for it to be just user-friendly, transparent, and make it possible, or as close to Showdown as possible, I should say. Pokemon Showdown, for those of you that don't know, is an online battle simulator that is an unofficial Pokemon battle simulator that is very widely used. It's a very good tool, of course, but if we got anything close to that, I think we're winning. I just really hope that you have the ease in this facility to customize your IVs, EV your Pokemon easier than it would be with vitamins in the game. Change your nature just at a toggle of a button. Change your Tera type. Put on an item, whatever you wanted. All of these different things that make customizing Pokemon, getting them battle ready, just want them to be really easy to use and not be something that is locked behind maybe paywalls, locked behind unlocking things in the game. It needs to be as easy as possible to encourage more players in. And I do think it will be that. I just have this worry that there might be some hiccups along the way that don't make it as streamlined as we kind of all want it to be. So that is what I think. Drop a comment below and let me know what features you want to see added in Pokemon Champions, how you think it'll impact the current competitive scene, how it'll impact main series titles. Do you think I'm close with what my ideas are, or do you think I'm way off the mark? It'd be great to hear regardless. I hope though that you found today's discussion interesting. This game could literally be a major turning point in competitive Pokemon, and it's going to be exciting to see how it all plays out. If you've enjoyed today's video, do consider dropping a like and consider subscribing to the channel to stay up to date with all things Pokemon Champions. I will of course cover any updates, any news that we get on this soon as it does drop, as well as all of the other Pokemon video game content that we do here on the channel. So it'd be great to have you, but thank you for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day. Till next time, friends, take care and bye-bye.